Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every week. This, of course, as you can see above me, is the good, the bad, and the ugly show. The weekly show we bring you where we dissect down all the weekend's Premier League action into what we think was good, bad, or ugly. Let's start off with the good. We're nowhere else to begin, but Brentford putting two past Wolves, beginning to fear for Wolves at this stage. Can't seem to get anything going really, but Brentford and Thomas Frank, what a job that man is doing at Brentford. Absolutely outstanding. Next up for them is Liverpool at home. Going to be a very interesting tie, a good tester for them. But so far, so good. Absolutely knocking it out of the park. Delighted for Thomas Frank. Tony, what more can we say about him? Absolutely outstanding player. Great result for them at the weekend. Let's move on. Chelsea, again, outstanding again. What a powerhouse they are. Have to be favourites this year for the league. Strength all over the pitch. Plenty of backup on the bench. Had an interesting first half. Just didn't seem to click for them against Spurs the other day. But by God, when Tuchel rang the changes and changed that little formation, they absolutely destroyed Spurs, made Spurs look like a championship side. Spurs had nothing to offer them. What can we say about Thiago Silva and also about Marcus Alonso? Absolutely unbelievable. Outstanding from both those men. And they really blew Spurs away, which is probably not a shock for most people. But when you go in 0-0 at half time and things have to change, you just never know what you might get. But Kane, never in the game. Dele Alli, what was he thinking for that header? Absolutely turning away from Thiago Silva. Absolutely shocking. Let's move on in the good again. Liverpool, just different level at the moment, strong shades of their 18-19 form. Absolutely outstanding. Levels above Crystal Palace. At times Crystal Palace had a little bit of joy in the game, but Liverpool, in theory, 3-0 was kind of flattering, really, to Crystal Palace. It could have been so much more if the boys were on form. Jota missed two absolute sitters, I think. But again, yeah, they move on, and that's the way it is. Arsenal's win at Burnley. Another clean sheet, another 1-0. Probably wasn't the story of the game, really. You're getting to see some of the players there now. Arteta nearly with a full squad at this stage and stuff like that. But something tells me there's a big game coming on the horizon, that North London derby, and he's not out of the woods yet. And if that was to go the wrong way, you'd be back to square one again. But another win for the Arsenal, another clean sheet. So things definitely starting to go the right way for them. Let's move on to the bad. Man City drawn at Southampton. Absolutely poor showing, really. And no surprise with the build up to the game, with all the talk about Pep and stuff like that, and this talk of fans and tickets and all this kind of thing. It's absolutely shocking. You know what I mean? And the drop points there, they're dropping points early now in the season as well, and it's not a good sign at all. We know they can go from strength to strength, of course. Absolutely outstanding footballers there, but to be dropping points to the rivals at the moment, not a good sign. Newcastle and Leeds drawn 1-1 on Friday night. Not a great result for both managers, who are both kind of under pressure. More so Steve Bruce, really starting to sniff around him now, the Geordies, and the talk of Eddie Howe and stuff like that and all. Kind of have to feel for Steve Bruce, because no matter where he goes, he doesn't really get the support he deserves, and he's a proper footballing man, you know what I mean? And this is coming from a Liverpool fan who had a hard time with that man when he was back at United. But you kind of have to like Steve Bruce, don't you? He's just a footballing man. And the talk of Eddie Howe at the moment going around isn't going to help things either. Problem is, even if they do make the change, I'm not too sure what Eddie Howe would do with that group of players. You know what I mean? It's just the expectation at Newcastle is so high, and yet the situation in terms of developing the squad and investment and all that is just so low. So it's just, I don't know, the secret to Newcastle is really, look, just change the ownership and be done with it. Unfortunately, the takeover was blocked during the summer. Also in the bad, I have Leicester in there. They were so wasteful against Brighton. They had so much possession and stuff like that, but yet couldn't deliver any end product. And in the end, Brighton ran out 2-1 winners. What can we say about Graham Potter? Absolute exceptional manager who has a huge job on the horizon. There's no doubt about that. It's coming from. doing an absolute fantastic job playing football the right way, but surrendered a lot of possession to Leicester at the weekend, but kind of figured out how to get the win and get it home as he always does. So hats off to Brighton. And again, Leicester, again, with an indifferent start to the season. Um, Rogers under a little bit of pressure there, but of course he's trying to, fit in some new players there and stuff like that. But he'll figure that out. There's no doubt about it, and then they'll go on a decent run. But at the moment, just a little bit haphazard at the minute. Let's get on to the ugly. Norwich fans, you're not going to want to hear this, but you guys are dead and buried already. We're a month or so into the season, or whatever it is, just over a month into the season. It's done. It's absolutely done. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Watford beating you 3-1, absolutely brilliant goals from Watford. Obviously, Pookie picked up a goal as well. But I just don't see where Norwich is going to pick up points. And I think as the season goes on and the players get a bit worn out and the squad isn't there and they sold off the likes of Bundy and stuff like that, I just don't know where the goals are going to come from. And it's just one of those things. It's the yo-yo effect again, coming up and happy to come up, take the money and the riches of what comes to you from coming up, and then just going straight back down and not investing and selling off your key players. Not going to end up good for you. West Ham is in the ugly here with United when they got beaten 2-1, but they had that penalty right at the death. Mark Noble came on, of course, missed the penalty. Fantastic save from David De Gea. It was kind of the hero on the day. But I'm not sure David Moyes made the right decision this time, bringing Mark Noble on to take a penalty. I probably would have chose one of the players that was on the pitch. I wouldn't be bringing a cold player on to take a penalty in that kind of situation. Very, very dodgy. But sure, what can you do? That's it. But I think he'll rule that as a point missed, more so than 3 points dropped, And I just think in future, just use one of the players on the pitch. There's no need to be subbing a fairly cold player on to take a penalty, Also in the ugly, I mean, we have to put Spurs in here. We've already spoken about Chelsea and how sublime and brilliant they were, but look at Spurs. Started off the season really well. I think they won 3 from 3, but they've absolutely fallen off the wagon. Last week they were missing a few players, so you could probably use that as an excuse. But this week, put in a bit of a shift in the first half against Chelsea, held them at bay. But that second half, they got absolutely annihilated. And if anyone wants to know the level of trying to win the Premier League, what it's at, Chelsea is setting the bar for that at the moment, along with Liverpool and United. And Spurs are way off that right now. Okay, this has been your good, the bad, and the ugly. Hope you enjoyed the show. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. If you want to contact the show, we're on the upper tier on Facebook and Instagram, on Twitter at _upper_tier. Audio versions of the show, Spotify, Podbean, iTunes, as always. And if you're looking for the video versions of the show, you'll get them on the Dynamo Podcast Network on YouTube under the upper tier. And we will be back again next week covering the good, the bad, and the ugly. Till next time, cheers.